Hello and welcome to the Tank Club. Today we're diving into some Elder Scrolls Online information and we're looking at update 40. I wanted to give some first impressions and some information on what is going to be dropping with the next patch. So update 40 is going to be dropping on October 30th for PC and November 14th for Xbox and PlayStation. And there's some really good things coming along with this update. So a few really good quality of life things that we're seeing. So Grandmaster crafting stations. Instead of needing to have hundreds and hundreds of different crafting stations now, it's all been combined down into just one of each. So you can put all of your current attunable stations into the new Grandmaster crafting station. So great stuff for guild leaders and crafters and people who have collected all those stations. That's going to be a brilliant update. There's also jewelry crafting optimization. They're making it the same as all the other crafts now. They're getting rid of dust. They're making it a bit more similar to others, and they're taking it away from being more of an end game thing to be more accessible to more of the player base. So that's really, really good. Another exciting feature is the Group Finder tool. And this is exactly what we've been needing for a very long time now. Not just to get trial groups, but to meet new people, to do new content, to get into stuff with the kind of people and the groups that you want. You're going to be able to set up groups for pretty much any activity in the game. There's specific categories for trials, dungeons, arenas, that kind of stuff, PvP. But you can just set up a group if you wanted to go and do some role playing or whatever it is you want to do. So it's really, really good stuff. It looks like it's going to be a good tool for people to put groups together and auto invite, all that kind of stuff, and find the right people. If you want to speed run something, you can select that as an option. So really, really good addition to the game. Now, in terms of Endless Archive, this is going to be a base game release, which is super interesting because we don't usually see a big piece of content like this given away for nothing. It's usually part of ESO Plus subscription. It's usually going to cost you crowns to purchase this, but it's going to be part of the base game. And I think this is a really good way to go about this. It's making what could be a very fun and exciting game mode accessible to basically everybody. Now, looking at this new mode, this Endless Archive, it looks super exciting in terms of you can go in solo or you can go in as a duo. So it's a two-person piece of content. You can use a companion and you're going to be able to go through multiple different rounds, kill multiple different bosses. There's lots of fun things happening. And it's going to be something just fresh and different. And I think that's what's the most exciting thing about it is we've been in such a routine for so long with ESO. We get the same updates every year. We get a new area. We get a new trial. We get 4 new dungeons. We get the same stuff every year. We see slight changes in mechanics and the appearance of things. But overall, it's still kind of the same. This is just something completely different. Now, there's not going to be a veteran or normal mode, which, again, is another interesting part, but it's going to increase in difficulty as you progress through the archive. Now, there's not going to be like any speed benefits here. It's not a rush. It's not a race. It's about longevity. It's about getting through it as far as possible. So, obviously, speeding through it isn't going to make any difference. There's going to be leaderboards for solo and duo. And I think one of the most exciting parts for me as a content creator is the build diversity. So, it's not going to be as plain and simple as just jumping in with your build and just going for it. You're going to need to build for various different situations because it's going to get harder and harder the further you progress. But it's also not going to be really, by the look of it, it's not going to be beneficial to just be a tank or just be a damage dealer. You're going to be able to be self-sufficient. You're going to need survival. You're going to need sustain. You're going to need a lot of different things. So I really think the excitement for me with this game mode is the creation of new and fresh and different builds to what we've seen before. Because your standard dungeon build isn't going to be as useful in this situation as it would be in a 4-person dungeon where you might have a healer and 2 damage dealers. Your build that you would usually use for a trial situation where your focus is on buffing your group and assisting your teammates isn't essentially going to work in a situation. And I think that's what the exciting part is because it does look like the further you go, the more necessary it's going to be to have somebody healing or tanking, and you're going to need good damage as well. So how do you combine those into a duo team? So this is what's really, really exciting is how do we merge together these different roles? Do you go with a tank and healer hybrid for those later stages? Do you go for a damage dealing tank with a damage dealing healer? Like how do you set this up? And I think it's going to be a lot of fun theory crafting different ways to progress further and further through the Endless Archive. Some interesting features that are going to come with this. So there's going to be buffs that you can collect when you complete a round. When you complete like a main boss, you're going to get a stackable buff that persists throughout the journey. So I really like how your game can be different every time. So you're going to fight different bosses every time, different enemies every time. Their layout's going to be different every time. The buffs are going to be different every time. You might find that there's a really strong buff but you don't get it, and you're not lucky enough to get it on one certain occasion, but then on another time you'll get it, and it'll be really helpful. The rewards that are going to drop from this as well, you've got a new currency with a vendor, different rewards. You got class sets that are coming with this as well. Now the class sets do look quite fun and interesting, and from my perspective as a tank main, they don't look super useful in terms of how you would usually use a gear set, but they do look like they might be useful in this particular environment. So in the Endless Archive, the class sets do look like they might have some really good functionality, but in terms of normal tanking outside of that, where you go into your dungeons and your trials, maybe not so much. So I'm really excited to see what happens on the PTS. I'm going to obviously be trying out Endless Archive as one of the main things. It does look like a lot of fun. And I think this, because there's so many different things, and we've seen so much of the same for so many years now, it is really a breath of fresh air to get something that we can really dive into and have, like I say, build diversity. It's so like boring at this point now, keep making the same builds and just little adjustments. And when you see builds over on YouTube and things like that, they're the same thing over and over again. Top build for the DPS, DK tank build, but they're pretty much all the same. Like, you've got no variety there with these kind of builds. They're all more or less the same. Damage dealer builds, 140k like Necro, 140k Arcanist, they're all the same. Like, there's no diversity, whereas this is really going to bring a completely fresh and interesting way of doing content in the Elder Scrolls Online. So I'm super excited, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the upcoming update 40 with the Endless Archive, but also the Grandmaster Crafting Station, Jewelry Optimization, and the Group Finder. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.